What's going on, everyone? Mr. Brood here. Today we're going to be going through my top 5 tips for Warcraft Rumble. The timestamps are in the description, so please feel free to skip ahead depending on your skill level. I'm just going to show some dungeon replays in the background while I do the talking. So without any further delays, let's jump into it. The first tip is knowing all the different types of units in the game. For beginners, this means things like how many gold does each unit cost, whether they hit air or ground, are they melee or range, or if they have any special abilities. For example, the Banshee has the possess ability, the Tauren has the charge ability, and as you become more experienced, things can get much more detailed, such as what is the cast time for the Banshee ability, what is the cooldown for the Tauren charge ability. There are also many maps specific knowledge, such as spawn time of the gold chest and gold mines. So knowledge is the key to any battle. Without knowledge, you can design, with knowledge, you can design a good strategy and you will know how to play any matchups correctly and work out the strength and weaknesses of your opponent's deck very quickly as well. The second tip is learning the battle interactions and optimal placements. Once you're familiar with the maps and the units, it's now time to learn how units interact with each other. For example, air units counter ground units and that are unable to attack air, or swarm units counter single tanks. There are 60 units currently, 60 units currently in the game, including the leaders. Each unit has 3 different talents, so there are a lot of different interactions that can happen. Interactions also change when you have multiple units down, so this adds to even more variations. There's no easy way around it. Practice makes it perfect. So the goal, at the end of the day, the goal is to be certain that you're making the optimal play every time and not just guessing. The third tip is find your own playstyle and deck choice. Let's face it, from a practical standpoint, it will take just way too long to level up every single deck to the highest level, and it also is very difficult for most people to be good at every single deck, every single leader, and every unit. For beginner players, what I would recommend is unlocking all the units as soon as possible. You can do that quite easily by playing the campaign, the lower PvP levels, and pretty much all the event, such as the Arclight Surges. If you play about 1 to 2 hours a day, you can probably unlock everything in the game within a month. That's without spending any money. From there, try out different leaders and units and find your own strength and your own style. And then perhaps focus on 1, maybe 2 teams to invest in. I will be showing different decks every week, so stay tuned for that. The fourth tip is gold management in battle. This comes with your knowledge and practice of the game. On defense, it means using the minimum amount of gold or units to defend against your opponent's push. This will allow you to have spare gold to place units for a counter push. On offense, it means understanding when to go in and when to let it go. You want to avoid overcommitting on an attack. That's very, very important. So don't overcommit on an attack that will most likely not go anywhere. The goal here is to create a positive gold trade every time. For example, if your opponent plays a Morton Giant, it costs 6 gold. If you play Harpies, which cost only 3 gold, you have a 3 gold advantage. On top of that, they have to deal with your Harpies, which will be on a counter push. You want to get positive trades as much as possible throughout the game, and this will ultimately lead to your victory. The fifth and the final tip is by far the most advanced and the most difficult to do, and that is counting your opponent's unit cycle as well as their gold. The previous 4 tips focuses more on your own game, but in PvP it's just as important to know your opponent's game. For example, if you play a Rend Blackhand deck, you will likely have a few air units in your deck, which means it's very important for you to know what your opponent's main air counter is. Every time a unit is played, it takes them to play another 4 units before they can cycle back to the same unit again, because there are 7 units in your deck plus the mine. Understanding your opponent's cycle will enable you to find the optimal timing to go on the attack. A more advanced version of this is also to count their gold, which will further ensure your chances of a victory for any one push. A quick example is if they play a Morden Giant and a Dark Spear Troll on one lane, and this costs 9 gold in total, you can immediately play something on the opposite lane, such as a Tauren, which is only 4 gold. They will likely have limited options for defense because of the lack of gold, and they have to respond to the Tauren because otherwise they just lose the tower. So there you have it. Hopefully this was helpful, and thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.